From a little cover, I got my dreams inside. Wrestling on the mat, I go and put up a fight. With every hold and slam, I rise to the peak. Now as Professor Bear, it's my strength that they see. Roaring with knowledge like a lion so proud. In this wrestling world, I'm standing out loud. I'm Professor Bear, got the passion to spare. Wrestling's my life, with the power to share. From the roots to ropes, in the spotlight we gleam. Chasing victory dreams, living out the theme. Now my WOSN, my squad.
Yeah. Hey, new beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul.
With my forest crew, we'll always ride. In the wrestling world, one just claim the prize.
Welcome, 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 and thank you for joining me this evening. I am Professor Bear, and this is a Bear's Thought. Guys, girls, this has been an amazing month getting to learn the insides of the wrestling business from a promoter standpoint. Again, the world of wrestling is just that. It is worldwide. It is something that we're blessed to have so many different countries that does wrestling in their own manner. And I wanted to point out and give some kudos to a lot of different promotions out there that you may never heard of, because I believe like as good as WWE and the AEWs and the bigger promotions are, you have those gems out there that we may have never heard of because they're in a smaller location, but doesn't take away the quality or their input in the wrestling business. So today I have T&R Championship Wrestling. And my God, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine, Professor Bear. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. And before we dive into the whole story, I want to let guys and girls know, I want you to see their logo. Unfortunately, in wrestling, you can only have so many names, and a lot of times we have a lot of similar names, and even some that are the same names, but the logos are different. So we want you to know their logo. So when you look them up, you know you're looking up the right company. Plus, if you're anything like me, if you have something easier to direct you to something, you would take it. And that's why I made sure to have the QR code up. If you scan that URL code, it will take you to their YouTube page. So that way you can get a sense of what they bring to the wrestling world. So with that being said, the question I always ask my guests is, how did you become a fan of wrestling?
So I became a fan when I was a kid. My mom and dad used to take us to the Barton Coliseum in Memphis. They used to take us to the Coliseum here in Jonesboro, Arkansas. and we used to watch Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, Jeff Jarrett, Handsome Jimmy Valiant, the Moondogs. I mean, that's who I grew up watching was Memphis Championship Wrestling on Saturday mornings. Glued to the TV every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. You know, it was just an everything, and just that's what brought me to the wrestling world. You know, was my parents. Me and my brother loved it. So that's how I was kind of raised up in it, watching it, and kind of loved it.
Very similar to my childhood. My parents, dad was a big wrestling fan, so that meant everybody, either you liked it or you were just going to hate it, but you wasn't going to say nothing. You were going to be there and watch it. So
you're either going to sit there and watch it on a Saturday morning with your parents, or you're going to go play in the room somewhere else.
Exactly. And so, unfortunately, and I'm in Tennessee also. I'm in Knoxville, so we didn't get a lot of Memphis wrestling. Occasionally, we go out of town or something, that I could pick it up then. But being just a big wrestling junkie that I was and am, man, I used to buy the magazines and keep up with it that way. And if I couldn't see it, it was those magazines that kept me abreast of what was going on. As I like to call it, that was the internet before the internet.
Hey, amen to that. It was. I mean, you know, this internet's a new thing to guys like me and you.
Yeah.
You know, back in our childhood, I don't know what these kids would have done without cell phones and computers and the internet, and you know, have to go outside and pick up an axe hammer or a chainsaw, cut wood, or you know, do a little bit of manual labor. Some of these kids wouldn't know what that's about today.
And you know what? I honestly think that would make them so much better and less reliant on things. And it's an amazing thing how the world in a short amount of time has changed. But as long as we are still around, we're going to give them those lessons and keep knowledge out there.
That's right. You got to keep that knowledge out there, because you know, it's like the old folks always tell you. My grandma and grandpa and his dad before him, you know, would tell old folks stories. That's the type of guy I am. I like to hear the old folks story. I want to know what happened back in, you know, the 1980s and you know, the 1920s. You know, I want to know what happened back then.
Exactly.
So you got to keep that relevant with the you know, the new kids on the block, as I say. You know, because if you don't, then you lose that history. You don't want to lose that history in the world.
It's so true, and I think that's what makes me that and I'm proud to be that old man that tells wrestling stories.
That's right.
I love it. It's so funny that I can just talk wrestling for hours and not be bored. And
you know, I can remember Professor Bear being at Jonesboro, and the Moondogs was facing Jeff Jarrett and Jerry the King Lawler. And in case most of you don't know, T&R is owned by also me and my brother, Terry Shirley and Robbie Shirley. And me and my brother was at this event together as young kids. He's a little bit older than I am. And I still won't forget today when they took the drink out of my brother's hand. The Moondogs did and bashed it over Jeff Jarrett's head. I mean, it's just stories like that I like to sit around and tell, you know.
It's so funny that you say that. One of the stories I tell is we were going to what was it? We went to a show, and we had just got in, and I couldn't have been like 4 or 5, something like that. But my brother tells me this story all the time, that we walked in, and I think it was Ron Wright grabbed my brother and asked him to do him a favor. He gave him a chain because he saw where we were going to sit. He gave him a chain and told him to hold on to it for him. My brother was like, okay, no problem. So they were main event, and he got out the ring. He's like, give me the chain. My brother gave him a chain. He got back in there. Whoever he was wrestling, he beat the living mess out of him. And it's just those incredible stories that just is like, wow, that just it makes you a fan. And like you said, just to be able to tell those stories so people can get their own stories to tell
That's
and
right.
learn about the history, learn about some of the older wrestlers that they may not have looked up or understand why the wrestlers today do the things they do.
Look, I'm hoping just being as a promoter, a booker, a wrestler myself. I'm just hoping one of these days that I can be, maybe in a wheelchair, rolling around in a nursing home. Somebody comes up and says, "Man, I seen this happen at T&R Championship Wrestling one time." That's just something I'm looking forward to. I want to hear that. So it's
Yes,
about making memories.
yes, definitely. Um, so you grow up a wrestling fan. So how did you go from just being a wrestling fan to getting in the business?
So exactly almost 5 years ago, August of 2021, me and my brother come together and we made a promise to our mom, and God rest her soul, she passed away from cancer. She asked me and my brother if we would do something together. That was one of her wishes before she was passing away. Hey, would you do something together? So my brother has been a professional wrestler for almost 15 years. And he came to me and he said, and I've traveled around the world with him, not the world, but the United States. I've not been around the world, can't say that, but United States with him, a couple of states. And I said, let me check the ins and out of it. And he wanted to start a business in wrestling. And I said, well, I don't know about that. I said, you got to have a deep pocketbook for that. I don't know if I want to do that or not. And so I checked the ins and out. And August 2021, we had our first event in Pickett, Arkansas. And it was actually a fundraiser for the Pickett Mohawks. And kind of took a break for about 4.5 months to get our ducks in a row. And Pastor Barry, we've been going ever since. We're located in Leachville, Arkansas, at the gymnasium at Leachville. We run once a month there. And then we're usually somewhere every weekend, every month, every weekend. We are also partnered with WWP and SCW, Wrestling with Pride and Southern Championship Wrestling. You don't see it very often, Papa Bear, but us and Wrestling with Pride has a Northeast Arkansas openweight title together. Two promotions that come together and made one championship gold title. So you don't see that very often.
No, you really don't. And the question I have for you is what made y'all decide to do a joint title?
So we had been doing business with each other for about 3 years, and we just decided, hey, it's never been done in Arkansas. Matter of fact, we don't even know it's been done anywhere else. So we just decided to come together and kind of be sister partners. And he runs on a different day of the month than I do, and we decided, hey, it'd be great to come together and for two promotions to have one title that goes back and forth between both promotions. So it can be defended at any promotion. It don't have to just be T&R, WWP. It can be defended in any promotion. It's a Northeast Arkansas openweight title, so it's called an openweight for a reason. But it means a lot to us, to both companies. So it's just something we decided to do I guess we've had it for about a year now. So it's been going pretty good.
I love that concept. It not only it shows that y'all are thinking forward, but y'all trust y'all business relationship to do something jointly. And again, that is rare in wrestling. I mean,
it is very rare that you have three companies that will come together and work together. And that's what we're trying to do, is work together and trying to make wrestling in Arkansas like it was back in the old days.
It is amazing that you say that, because I talked to a promotion in New Mexico, and they're under the NWA banner. And one thing that I love because of where I grew up in wrestling is like having promotions that you fall under banners where you can have championships go to different parts of the country or companies. You can defend it, wrestle, you know about them, y'all help each other grow. And I think that's something in wrestling that, especially nowadays, you see the majors are going back to doing that. And I think that's a great concept, and it helps the business continue to flourish and grow your partnerships.
Yes, that is correct. I mean, we've done shows in Arkansas as WWP and T&R and Hazen, the Hard Riders Bar and Grill in Jacksonville. We've done quite a few shows together. So, and heck, we even come together and put, I don't know, I think it was 5 promotions together and done what they call Ark and Brawl in Little Rock.
Oh wow.
So we're not opposed to working with somebody, you know. We try to get along with anybody we can. You know, it's just the best thing, you know. It's the best thing for business. You know, when you're on the business side of it, you gotta really watch your P's and Q's about the business side of it. And that's what I try to do is I try to take care of the business side to where, you know, I don't want somebody hating on my company. I don't want somebody to come in and say they was mistreated, because I'm not going to mistreat somebody. You know, I give everybody an equal opportunity. That's what we're a firm believer in, love and acceptance of all. I don't, you know, I try to give everybody at least one chance, you know, and so far it's worked out pretty good. I've got a good full roster. We got guys that come back every single month. We don't have no questions asked, that they're there when the door is open. I have trainees. I probably have 7 trainees right now. We have women also. You don't see that very much in Arkansas, which you interviewed one of them, which was my daughter. So, you know, I think the business is looking up for us and doing pretty good since we started. I'm very happy where we're at today. I set a goal when we started, Professor Bear. My goal was to run a show in the Convocation Center at Jonesboro, Arkansas. And I don't know if you know what that is, but that is the ASU campus where they play basketball, where the A-State Red Wolves play. And I wanted to run a show in there. And guess what? That happened last year.
Congratulations.
So I'm very pleased with that. We are a family-oriented show. I don't believe in letting anybody cussing on the microphones. I don't believe in that. I have a lot of kids that comes to my show. I worked at the school for 15 years. Worked around a bunch of kids, drove a bus. I was a bus mechanic for 15 years. So I don't believe in that. So my side of the business is to keep it clean. Sure, you're going to have a little mess up here and there. You know, they're going to say a few choice words that's going to happen that you're on TV.
Right.
You know, but other than that, man, we're just about family, fun. We want to entertain you for about 2.5 hours. I mean, we're a small town, Professor. We're a small town. You know, so you can bring a kid and get him off the streets. I can get a teenage kid. This is just my dream. My goal is if you can get a teenager kid, the age from 12 to 16, off the streets for 3 hours on a Saturday night, where you know they're not doing drugs, I've done my job.
I love it. I love it. One of the things that I find that really makes me really happy with it seems like the indie promotions are making such a major comeback, and they're doing so well, and with and not to just talk bad about them, but these are facts. With WWE overpricing tickets, they're cutting back on their shows, and I think that it's a great thing to be an indie wrestler at this point, because you have such a great opportunity to build yourself and to build your audience. And for me, I love going to an indie show because, as I call it, it's like going to a family reunion.
You got that right.
You go and you get to see people that y'all can come from all different backgrounds, but y'all have that love of wrestling, and you can sit there and have a conversation and make new friends, and the atmosphere is great. And the best thing about indie wrestling too is you actually can have a conversation with the wrestler afterwards. You can get to understand why they do it. And
oh yeah, you can also get sign autographs.
Yeah,
you can get most guys that you like get out and sign an autograph. Look, I'm like you. I don't like to touch on that situation with WWE either. But look at here. You can go to WWE and pay $278 for a nosebleed seat section over at the FedEx Forum. And that's what they paid this past Monday night for Raw. Or by golly, you can come to Leedsville, Arkansas at 211th 11th Street this Saturday night, and you can pay $10 or $15 and sit front row for $15. And I'm going to entertain you just as well as WWE did. I guarantee you.
exactly. Then you get to meet the wrestler. You can buy.
Right.
You can actually go buy their merch, buy food, and still come out the event with money, not having to worry. Man, I just spent the rent for this. For
that, you got that right.
So again, I think that, and I think too, as kids, and we were talking about this a little earlier before we went online, the memories that we got as kids, we saw them as superhero, live action heroes.
Darn right.
And to know that they're in your town, that they're accessible, man, that means a lot to a lot of people.
It does. It means a lot to a lot of people. I mean, like I tell my guys, you got to go out and work off the crowd. Work off your crowd. If the crowd's happy, then sure, you're doing a great job. If the crowd ain't making a noise, you ain't doing the right thing. You got to get that crowd behind you.
Exactly. One thing I've learned that I started doing, I went to a wrestling event. It couldn't have been more than 50 people in the place, but I went to go support a friend of mine. He was wrestling, and I went to go see him. And I'm not gonna lie, I was half tired when I went because I think I ended up driving like 3-4 hours away, and I got there. I was tired, so I'm trying to keep my eyes open. I closed my eyes for a minute. Then I heard the crowd, and I'm like, wow, wait a minute, where am I? I open my eyes and it's just the 50 people, but closing my eyes, I could have sworn we were in a 20,000 seat arena, how loud and boisterous the crowd was. So and I thought to myself, they got this crowd in the palm of their hands. This is a hot show. So from that point on, every show I go to, I always give the ear test, as I call it. I just close my eyes and listen. And if I cannot tell the size of where I am, you're doing good. You are doing what you're supposed to do.
That is exactly right. You hit it right on the nail.
So let's talk about the championships that you have in your promotion.
Okay, so I have a T&R heavyweight champion, which is Mr. Somebody I don't like, Mr. Logan Light. I have a Buffalo Island Junior heavyweight champion, which is another guy I really don't like, is Dalton Ring. Then I have tag team champions in the family affiliated out of Louisiana. So, and then we have a women's champion, which is right now, we don't really honor the champion that's got the title right now because she does not have a contract for T&R Championship Wrestling. So it's just kind of one of them situations we're in that just you're like, wow, But that is, and then we got the Northeast Arkansas Openweight title. So, and the social media title, and that's it. That's all we got.
So two things with that. The first thing is, I'm so glad that y'all do not call your title a world title.
No, sir.
It's something that irks my soul when I hear a company call their champion a world champion and they barely get out the county.
That's right.
That just bugs me to no ends.
My title does not travel the world, so I'm not going to call it a world title.
Right.
No, actually, the only one that really travels is the women's title and the Northeast Arkansas Openweight title. That's basically the only two that we allow to kind of travel a little bit, which they don't travel out of the world either. They don't travel around the world. They just stay in the United States mostly.
And that's the thing, and I get it, and I know why companies do it, but for me, it's like I want realism, and how can you call your champion a world champion when they don't travel? So let's be more modest in what you call it. Now, I completely understand that's your company. You can call your titles whatever you like, but just for me as a viewer, that turns me off.
Right. I understand that. And I'm sorry if you hear some kids hollering in the background. That's my grandbabies.
There's no problem at all.
Yeah, but yeah, I just when me and my brothers thought about doing this company, we got around and started talking about titles. First we kind of built the ground up. We didn't have a champion at first. We just wanted to build it, see how it went. Then we decided, hey, it's going to go pretty good. So we got to start out with the heavyweight title. So then when we went from the heavyweight, we went to the tag team titles. And then we decided so our area is called the Buffalo Island area. So we come up with a name of Buffalo Island Junior Heavyweight is what we come up with. You got to go back in there. Go back in there. Go on. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. I love that. I love when companies take their region and try to incorporate things from their region into their company. Again, that shows to me, that shows how much you really care about your area, your history, and things like that. And for me, that makes, if I'm a fan of that area, that makes me proud of that championship.
I believe in my community. I support my community because my community supports us, and that's just the way I feel about it. That's before we even become a company. Our community is great. I mean, my family got hit by a tornado a couple years back, blowed my house away, blowed my dad's house away, destroyed us completely. And the community really stepped up strong, and churches helped out, the city helped out. Both cities I live close to, Leechville and Monette. Can't say nothing bad about either town. I mean, it's a great community to live in. Very family oriented. Can't say nothing else about them. They're just great towns to live in. I'm not a big city guy. I guess you could say I'm a country boy. I love living out in the country. That's where I live at. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
I love indie wrestling because it's more than just wrestling, and it's something that helps not only entertain, but it shows that the level of pride you carry in your community. And I think that's one of the reasons why I decided to do a promotion appreciation month. And not just having the big promotion. I wanted the little ones that don't get a lot of buzz, people don't know a lot about, so I can help. It's
Right.
about giving back to the community and letting people know we see you, we know about you, we're proud. I can tell you from our company standpoint, we are proud of any professional promotion that is out there. Now, if you're doing wrong, no, we're not going to support you.
Exactly.
But if you're doing right and you're entertaining the people you have in your area, then we're going to support you. We're going to do everything in our power to let people know and basically to tell you thank you. Thank you for everything you do for not just for your community and not but for the wrestling scene, because as a lot of people in this generation don't realize that you can't start at NXT and become a star.
No, sir, you cannot.
You had to pay your dues. You had to learn the territory because every territory has different styles of wrestling.
That is correct.
So that, and I love that. I'm a big opponent. I tell people this all the time. I think we're back into the territorial days, but better, because I can watch a promotion in California, or I can watch one over in Africa, Japan. I can watch it all over. I don't have to leave my house. I have so many different vehicles to have that. And I think, man, that's a blessing. And use this and get your audience, get your type of wrestling out there so people can enjoy it and become a fan. That's my big goal. Do more than the big ones. Take a minute and look in your area and see some of the great action that you may miss because you think, oh, well, it's indie, it's no good. No, take a chance, go see, and you will learn that indie wrestling and the major wrestling, they're kin, but they're different.
That's right. Hey, I'll tell you what. Talking about getting your stuff out there. I do a podcast every Tuesday night, do a podcast every Thursday night to try to promote our businesses. On Thursday night, I promote anybody and everybody that I can promote. If you're a wrestler, you want to come on my podcast, you DM me, I'll put you on the podcast. We'll talk about you, what you got going on. I'm not scared to talk to anybody. I don't care. If you need to be put out there, I'll put you out there, kind of like you do. Tuesdays, we promote, WWE, T&R, and SCW, whatever show's coming up that weekend, that's what we promote. And I'll give you a prime example. Wrestling with Pride had a show called No Love Lost this past Saturday. And there was 3 people that drove all the way from Florida to see that show and paid to get in the door. So, we got to be doing something right if we got people coming all the way from that way just to watch our shows,
Exactly.
But they did. That's no lie. They come all the way from Florida and watched the show, and they loved it. Said they want to come back. So that's just what you got to get out and promote it, and just let everybody know what you're doing, and find out what the fans want. As a promoter or a booker, if you're not finding out what your fans want, you're not keeping them entertained. That means as a promoter or a booker, you got to do something a little bit different.
Very much so.
Don't tell all your secrets. I don't like that Unreal in WWE. I don't like it. I'm like Paul Heyman. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. I'm old school. I don't ever tell anybody what my plans are except maybe 3 people in my company, and that's my brother and one other person. And the other 2 owners from the other 2 companies. That's the only people we tell what we're doing. I don't go out and blurt it out between the wrestlers or the referees or the managers or some fans and tell them what we're doing. I mean, I just can't do that. Come find out. Come to the show. Come see what we're putting together.
And I love that mentality. I look at it as why would I go to a magic show if I already know how the magic is done?
Amen to that.
So I definitely agree with you. Again, you have to, and, I'm a big. I say this a lot. Uh, the kayfabe of wrestling may be dead, but it's not dead to me.
It's not dead, Professor Barry. It's not dead. Some people thinks it's dead, but it's really not dead. I mean, we do have people that still do it today. I mean, firm believers in it. I love it. If you're a bad guy, you're a bad guy. If you're a good guy, you're a good guy. There's certain times you might break that wall down, but generally, you don't break the wall. I mean, it's just something in our business you don't want to do. You try to keep from doing. Sometimes when we lose a loved one, it's a little bit tough.
Right.
That's when you can show your sympathy a little bit and break the wall down a little bit. But other than that, guess what? You're always looking at evil versus good. Is the good ever gonna outcome the evil? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the evil is gonna win. But you know what? Sometimes the good's gonna win. So you never know. You always got to show up to that next show. Hey, is he gonna win this time? Well, you don't know that till you show up. Is she gonna win that title next week? You don't know till you show up. It ain't something you get on here and just blurt out and say, "Oh, hey, Professor Bear's winning the title next weekend. Y'all come on down and watch." Well, why would I tell people you're going to win the title? They already know. Why would they come and watch you?
Exactly.
That's the same way I'll be with you. Like you said, you show a card trick to me once, and I figure it out. Why would I come and watch it again?
Exactly.
So,
something, and I think this is more of us being Southerners. And it's funny because I've talked to a lot of different companies all around the world and different things. But I think that us as Southerners, we take it to heart because that's the way we were raised with the business. It was serious. If you saw that wrestler out somewhere, if it was a bad guy, man, you were gonna let them know. If you thought you had a chance to punch him in the face, you might take that chance to punch him in the face.
I had it put to me one time. I had a guy come up to me one time and told me, says, "I want to know what you think about this." I said, "Okay, what you got?" He said, "Hey," he said, "here the other night, man, I was in a match, made somebody so mad. He said they chased me out to my car." I said, "Well, man, let me tell you something." I said, "If you made him mad enough," I said, "was you the bad guy?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Then you done your job." That's all I got to say. You done your job. I said, "If he chased you to your car or your truck, you done your job." That's just the way I feel about it.
I tell you a quick story. I was at a promotion, and I sitting ringside, and gentleman came out, and his partner came out and was just walking around ringside. He's doing what he's supposed to do, just heating, making the crowd mad. Well, I had a couple of seats empty beside me. He came and sat down, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you're just really irritating me. You're really making me mad. And he looked at me and he said something. He said it real low, and I couldn't make out what he said. But I'm sitting there like, man, you are really starting to irritate me. And in my head, I'm like, man, you're doing a great job because you're really making me get into my real feelings. So after the show, I'm standing around hanging out, and he comes out. And he comes over to me. He's like, "Oh, Professor Burr, I'm glad you stayed, man. I've been real. I love what you do. I'm a big fan." I'm like, "Well, thank you." I said, "Man, y'all did great tonight." And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I really wanted to talk to you. That's why I sat down." He said, "But I just couldn't. I couldn't break kayfabe. So that's why I whispered to you. Stay here after the match." I said, well, I couldn't understand what you said. I said, but I'm gonna tell you this. I said, I know the business. I said, man, but legitimately, I felt like I really wanted to punch you in the face. You had started pissing me off that bad. And he's like, man, that's one of the best compliments I got in a few
That's
weeks.
right. That means he done his job.
Exactly. And that's the thing. When you get in your emotions, good or bad, you know that wrestler has done their job and makes you want to see again because now even though me and him are good friends, I enjoy him. I'm going to the show next in a couple of weeks to see him lose the title. I want to see him lose. He's that much of a bad guy. I want
There
to
you
see
go.
the title. So that shows how much he's really put in his energy and everything to the point where his girlfriend can't come to the show anymore because
That's put a lot in then.
she mad that people yelling at him. She yelled so, and I was like, man, you have got you got your ducks in a row. You are doing the thing. He said, yeah, I had to tell her she can't come back. She messed up. But that I love that the passion that is there because I think a lot of times some, and I hate to say this, but you can tell when some wrestlers are just not, they don't care. They're not.
Here's what I've been taught. Here's what I know. So I've been around the business for 15 years. I've only been a professional wrestler for 5. So going on my 5th year actually. So this August will be my 5th year. So I can tell you this much: if you tell yourself that you know everything in wrestling, that you're God's gift to wrestling, that you know everything that you need to know, that you don't need anybody to teach you anything. You need to take your butt and you need to go to the sidelines and you need to walk out the door. Because I learn something new every single day I step in the door. Even as a trainer, I still learn something new every day I step through the door. Professor Bear, the day I quit learning, the day I'm going to walk away from the business.
I can truly understand that. My mind state is similar. When it stops being fun for me, I'm not going to do it anymore.
That's when it's time to get out.
Yep.
You want to talk about fun? You want to see how much fun it is? Just watch Bell to Bell tonight, 8:15 my time. See how much fun we have on them podcasts.
I would definitely do that.
That's the reason why I do 2 different podcasts. I have a professional podcast that I do on Tuesday nights. On Thursday night, we cut loose. We do what we want, how we want, where we want, and do what we want. That's just part of the podcast. So, yeah, we're gonna have some fun with it tonight. So, that's what it's all about. When you quit having fun, it's time to get out.
Yes, definitely. And I've never thought, especially I'm 52 years old. I never thought that I would be able to, I always say somewhat be in the business, that I get to meet so many different people that I grew up watching and newer people and having relationships with people in the business that is such an amazing thing. And I take this to heart. Maybe I take it too hard because sometimes I get so frustrated on little things, but I always say I'm blessed when I meet wrestlers, whether you are a Hall of Famer or just getting in the business. I show respect because I respect this business so much, and I want people to understand how much I truly care for the business and do the things I do. I don't do the podcast for necessarily my satisfaction. I do the podcast to help people. I want people out there. There's so many people that don't get a chance to promote themselves, to get outside their bubble. And I want to be able to help them. Maybe if I get a new eye on you, I feel like that's a win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What says this podcast don't bring me 5 people to the door Saturday?
Exactly.
Very well could. That's 5 more people than I didn't have. You know, you want to talk about the business, so I'll talk a little bit about the business side of it for my prospects of if you're a worker and you want to work for a promotion. This is what I have always said and will always say it, and I'll tell you what most of us are looking for. We did a summits meeting with Papa Dink twice already, and had like 9 promotions on there at one time, and everybody said I had a perfect answer for that. So what we're looking for in somebody to come into a promotion, I'm looking for a Jimmy Hart. In case some of you don't know what Jimmy Hart does, I'm going to tell you what he does. He's there early. He helps you set up the ring. He helps you set up chairs. He helps you set up tables. He's there when the show's over with. He takes down tables. He takes down chairs. He helps take down the ring. He helps clean up. He helps take out the trash without being asked. As a promoter and a booker, you're looking for hundreds of people like that. I don't want to have to go in and say, hey, man, you need to do this, or hey, man, you need to do this, or hey, man, you need to do that, or hey, honey, I need you to come over and do this. No, I want you to have enough wits about you to come in the building and say, well, I think that needs to be done. Let me do it. Well, I think that needs to be done. I think I'm going to do that. And right now, I have a pretty darn good crew that sets up my organization every weekend. No questions asked. I have one of the best crews I have right now. I don't have to tell them what to do. As soon as that trailer pulls up, bam, I got a crew there and they're doing it. You know, so that's that. As a promoter, that is what you're looking for if you want to come to work for a promotion. Be a Jimmy Hart. Don't care to do anything. If that promoter tells you, hey, you're going to put Joe Bob Jr. over tonight, don't complain about it. Just go do it. You know, if he says, hey, I want you to carry my title for 6 months, carry it for 6 months and carry it with honors. You know, because if a promoter wants to put a title on you, it's because you've done something right in his eyes or her eyes. You know, don't go out and complain to somebody, well, I can't believe I got this title, or hey, I can't believe I'm losing to this guy, or hey, I can't believe I won this match, or I'm winning this match. Hey, just do what the promoter and the booker asked you to do. You know, you'll get along better. Life will be a lot easier in the indies for that. If you start saying, hey, I ain't going to do that, or I ain't going to do this, sometimes that's a little bit deal. Now, I'm telling you, if you're a newbie and you're in a ring with a vet and he asked you to do a move and you don't know it, don't do it. You're going to say, hey, no, I don't know how to do that move. You know, be mindful of yourself and who you're facing all the time. That's another thing. Be mindful of who you're in the ring with. You know, sometimes you're in the ring with a vet. Sometimes you might be in the ring with somebody that's just like you. So just be mindful of that. You know, so that's just all I got to say. I want to promote that I'm looking for a Jimmy Hart. I'm looking for the next superstar to come into T&R Championship Wrestling. That next superstar may be listening to this podcast right here. You know, if you are, reach out to me, Facebook, YouTube, Messenger, get a hold of me. Love to book you.
And what the key thing that I took from that message is be flexible.
That is right.
It is amazing. Now, again, not to put everybody in the same circle or anything, but there are a lot of young people that think they deserve something.
Yeah, they think they need to be giving it to them.
And just like I had a promoter say the other day when they were on my show, wrestling owes you nothing.
You got that right. We owe wrestling everything.
Exactly. So be mindful. And sometimes some of the best things you can do is sit back and listen. Shut your mouth. Don't talk so much. Listen to wisdom. Again, you don't have to do everything someone says to do, but know the fact of when to do and when not to do. Sometimes You can be in a locker room. You don't need to say anything. Just listen to them veterans give you wisdom that you can't get from anything else. Again, like you said, the WWE show, that behind the curtain, I dislike that too.
Me too. Do not
And
like.
I just don't. But the key to it, you can get all that, not all that wisdom and stuff from being there, from being a fly on the wall, a sponge, man. Soak up what you're hearing and seeing, and be able to process that, and then have a mentor. What happened to being able to have a mentor to talk to? Hey, I'm having this problem. What would you?
That's right.
Or this or that. These are little things that people forget.
Look, I'm a business owner. I'm a promoter and I'm a booker. I have a mentor I talk to. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, and again,
I have somebody that's been in this business a lot longer than I have that really helps me a lot. And my brother's one of them too. I mean, I listen to him a lot. He's taught me a lot. The authentic Ray Ivy, he's taught me a lot.
I tell you, I have friends who have their own podcast, and they give me advice. Now, the thing is with that, I listen to everything what someone tells me. Then I make a rational decision. Do I want to do it or do I don't? And if I choose to do it and it doesn't work out, I don't get mad at them, because I made that choice. Whatever choice I make, I'm willing to die on that hill.
And you talk about choices. Here's another thing too. You have the choice of who you want, what promotion you want to go to. Okay. If you book on a Saturday night in New Jersey, and then you also book on a Saturday night in New Mexico, don't do it. Take your first booking and don't book the other one. Don't double book yourself to where it gets you in trouble, to where you don't show up for that first booking that you took. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your promoter and your booker. That's a huge issue in the indie wrestling. Hey, I booked this show, but I think this guy's going to pay me a lot more. Big deal if he's going to pay you a lot more. You've already committed. Your word means a lot to these promoters and bookers.
Yes.
Your word is supposed to mean everything to them. So just be mindful of what you do, and take your first booking.
I want to thank you, and not just for coming on my show and having this great conversation, but I want to thank you for continuously giving the business what it needs and so many different aspects of it. Of course, I love the old school flavor that you keep going. Of course, I love that. But beyond that, it's you're in towns to help entertain them. You got that great representation where you can work with different companies, and it's needed in the business. Everything in the business is not bad, and I know we have different shows that talk about the bad, but there's good, and this continuously doing this makes wrestling that's going to go on after we're dead and gone. Our great grandkids can enjoy it. And that's something that I'm very proud of and something I take very seriously. So I want to thank you so much for everything you're doing, you're going to do, and continuously are going to do. So thank you so much for that.
And thank you for having me on here. I appreciate you bringing me on and giving me opportunity to speak on your podcast.
Oh man, anytime. Again, you have an open invitation. Anytime you want to come on, let me know. We'll get that schedule right, and you are more than welcome.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
No problem. Guys, girls, thank you so much for joining us around the campfire with another amazing show. Again, there are things in the business that you don't need to know about. It takes the fun away. But there are some things that if we get the perspective of what people do and go out their way and bust their butt to give us all this entertainment, we should be very mindful. We need to be thankful to them for what they do to entertain us, to take us out of this crazy world for a few hours. It's an amazing thing, and I'm very proud to be in this business and have so many people that I look up to and actually can call friends. It's an amazing thing. I never imagined that I'll be blessed to have it, and I'm definitely a champion for wrestling. So before I leave, as I always do, again, this is something that I can't express enough of. Please, please, please go and support your local indie wrestling. I can't convey this message to you enough that you will go see a show that you will have I hope a great experience from, that you can entertain your family and actually have money after you leave. Give your kids, your wife, the grandma, whoever, give them an experience that's going to last a lifetime and hopefully continue to draw them into the crazy world that we call wrestling.
That's right. 211th 11th Street, Leechville, Arkansas. This Saturday night, come on out and see a T&R Championship Wrestling.
And don't use the excuse you ain't in the area. You just heard people from Florida drove up. You can drive.
Right. That's right.
Hey, make sure you do it. With that being said, I am Professor Bear. This has been a Bear's Thought, and we will see you around the campfire very, very soon. Y'all have a great evening.